we need to have a talk. I go out of town for a week. In fact, it wasn't even an entire week to cover all the gun stuff that happened at the largest gun show in the world. And you fellers down there in the South decide to pick that week to kick off another civil war. You are not allowed to do that unless I am at home and I can cover it. I didn't even get to see all of the memes. I'm going to have to wait for Gun Meme Review to come up in the rolls so that I can catch up on all the cool stuff that I missed. But in all seriousness, this is going to be my SHOT Show recap video. I had a really good time at the show this year. Saw lots of cool stuff, although I was a bit hobbled up. I was walking around with a cane the whole time because 2 weeks before the show, I decided to go East Coast skiing, and I hit a part of the ski slope that didn't have any snow on it, even though the trail was open, and I tore my calf. So it was a little bit of a painful show for me, but I'm going to tell a real quick story. I did practice my line all the way to the airport. You know, you got to go through the pedo scanner at TSA, and I show up with my cane, and they're like, sir, you can't take your cane through the scanner. You got to put it through the x-ray machine. And I look at them and I go,
your staff.
Oh. You would not part an old man from his walking stick.
Not a single bit of emotion in that person's face whatsoever. And I'm like, you are truly a Fed. They have sucked all soul out of you. Now, I did the exact same thing at the Las Vegas airport on the way back, and everybody lost their shit. They thought it was hilarious. So I don't know what's going on with you folks in Columbus, Ohio, but you need to get your act together. Now, those of you who have been here before know how this works. This is SHOT Show Roundup. I literally go through and tell you the things that I thought were cool, and you tell me if you think that they are cool too, and I can then prioritize which ones I want to go after first. First off, we are headed to Global Ordnance. You guys have seen a lot of reviews from them previously, most notably, at least on this channel, the Grand Power line, and of course the Stryboggs. And while they did bring the 45 version of the Strybog to the show, and we'll be bringing it out here pretty soon. It's going to be like a UMP mag-driven Strybog and 45 ACP. That's not the coolest thing. I give you the Monolith. This is a piston-driven short-stroke system that is built around the Monolith. You are seeing that right. This is a barrel extension, gas block, and suppressor mount, all machined out of a single piece of steel. This is an engineering marvel that showcases what you can accomplish when you turn full America on. And I'm very excited to get this thing in for testing to see how it performs. Now, this next one, I'm admittedly a little bit embarrassed about because I kind of spent the entire allotted time bullshitting with the manufacturer. He had a major muscular injury this year as well. He literally tore his bicep, and even though he tore his bicep, he still can see the division between the brachialis and the bicep. It's completely unfair, but that's beside the point. Because of that, I failed to get B-roll of the new product, but it's okay because I have the scaled down version for the 22 last year. What we're talking about this year is the Angstadt Arms 9mm integrals. And these are special because they work on the ported barrel concept. You can't have a baffle strike if there are no baffles. And it's basically a shroud over a ported barrel. And that does a couple things for you. First of all, it drastically increases the volume of the can. And two, it also dials down the velocity of the round. So you don't have to shoot like super high-end, exotic, subsonic 9mm. Like, you're not spending premium money to get the full experience from your integral 9mm barrel. You can just shoot regular 9mm ammo, and those ports will dial down the velocity to somewhere approaching subsonic. Of course, that depends on the individual load. If you're shooting super hot stuff, then maybe not. But if you're shooting regular ball, then you should be okay. And the other thing that does is they are reasonably or relatively easy to manufacture, so they are relatively inexpensive as far as cans go. These are offered in both the regular direct blowback style AR9, or if you have a CMMG gun and you have that like radial delayed blowback with the lockup and everything, then they make those as well. Last week, I put out a short video on the groundbreaking Henry Supreme, and my inbox is full, guys. I understand, all right? It's already confirmed that it's coming. You guys win. It's in 300 blackout. I wanted the 5.56 gun. We're doing the 300 blackout, and they basically eliminated all the traditional problems with lever guns moving into bottlenecked cartridges. I know that that's a real broad category, but think like 5.56, 300 blackout, stuff like that, 308, any of the really sharp, pointy stuff, because they've eliminated the tubular magazine and gone to a stand-mag design. But if you want to see that video, I will have it linked in all the relevant places. It's pretty cool. I got to shoot it. In fact, it is the only thing that I found worthwhile to shoot at the entire industry day at the range. I had a quick meeting with GSL Technologies, and they were showing off some tiny cans. This is now the new Flex. Wallet, phone, keys, gun, TQ, light, and now pocket NFA device. Just when you thought that the AR-15 really couldn't be innovated anymore, Victor has gone after some refinement of the internals. And I'm told that they have a piston-driven system that is blind to whether it is suppressed or not. It does not care. It is auto-regulating, and it does it all on a carbine buffer. What I have here for you is a little bit of change in geometry of the cam of the bolt. Basically, this dumps a whole lot of gas, making dwell time relatively irrelevant. We've seen some stuff here from Gideon Optics before, but now they've taken a step into the LPVO realm. And while these things are pretty sexy, and they're also talking about offering the mount as a separate SKU, so if you need a 34 millimeter mount, then you can go get that. But the main thing that I really found attractive about it, besides their general appearance and feel, was that they've done some interesting things with the reticle to draw you in for a fast acquisition. And of course, these are all things that are nearly impossible to capture on camera in the dungeon of SHOT Show. So you'll just have to wait for the review, I guess. Fletcher Works was there, and they brought their 1122. And for those of you who aren't familiar, this is like a fully takedown version of the 1022. As in, like, with the receiver and the chassis, you can disassemble the upper part of the receiver and take all the components out and clean them if you wanted to. And that's not really news because it's been out for a little bit. But what is that they make a version that is now compatible with all the like takedown model stuff, as well as the super shorties. And I've wanted to do some work with this outfit for a while, but if I could just take a second out and say something. To see a company go from a couple dudes working out of a garage to a main SHOT Show floor in a couple of years is proof that you still can succeed in America, provided that you do pro-freedom things. Bushmaster went retro, and personally, I'm attracted to the car stock mod, but I could totally see someone picking up one of these and dropping it into Scarface accessories. I was literally building one of those when I found out that as an 0702, you can acquire an M203, but then I stopped immediately when I found out that you have to have a federal explosive license to be able to actually shoot it on YouTube. And if I'm going to have an M203 grenade launcher, then I'm going to shoot it on YouTube. And I'm not going to subject my business to that level of scrutiny with Sniffy in office still. But these are pretty cool. Alpha Silencer is doing extremely lightweight cans with ridiculous rating. For instance, their 9mm can is rated up to 338 Lapua Magnum, and their 45 can does 458 Win Mag. So if it fits, it ships, though it only weighs a few ounces. I also really like the spiral patterns on the side of them. I started out at Darkstorm interested in their straight pull guns. For those of you who don't know, Darkstorm made their name by trafficking firearms into restricted areas, compliant, but easily convertible, we'll say. But I started out really interested in their straight pull guns. And then once I got there and saw the straight pull guns, why those were super cool, we started talking about the fact that the owner of the company is really into night shooting. And so their carbines are available in the fully frilly, do all the competition things, but they also make like a dedicated night build with all the reinforcements that you need to properly integrate night vision equipment onto your rifle so that you don't have to worry about any point of impact shift. You like lean your rifle up to against something, because if you haven't shot under nods, it's very heavily dependent on projected laser work. You can do passive aiming, but they have like a reinforcement strut that goes through the front pin, and they have these metal pins that ligate the rail to the receiver, and I'd once one. I took a trip over to see my friends at Taurus because they had a whole bunch of stuff going on. You saw that they released the TH10. Ayo. But they now have a spin on single action. And we also went over to the Rossi area where they released the 95. So you guys are familiar with the 92, the R92. And if you missed our video on the new Midwest Industries accessories that came out this week, then you should definitely check that video out. It is a full feature video going over all the things that Midwest Industries came out with this week. 95 is the long action to the 92's short action. So think 92, you've got like your 357, your 44, all those. And then like when you go up to the 95, you're talking like 45-70 in those guns. Those ones were really cool. And of course, Midwest has the mods for those ready to go. Live Free Armory. I have no idea how this company makes any money. They are known for their rifles and their 2011 pistols. And I also had no idea that they made LFA branded Glocks. This is why I have to go to these things. I can't keep the world right side up half the time. But they just released a compact model of their 2011s at the show. And for those of you who don't speak gun nerd, this is a sub 1K double stacked 9mm 1911 that's fully Cerakoted. And I want one, specifically the silver one. Bucked Up was at the show, which was the supplement brand that I was using before the rep on the floor let me know that they don't really care about the gun industry, and they're just using the firearms industry as a new market to expand into because they want to really boost their retail presence. Yeah, that didn't work here. So, and then last but not least, FIM's Firearms. And I actually have a little bit of a story to tell here. I'll have a video coming out from SHOT Show called something along the lines of Guns I Can't Kick Shut. And it was basically a bunch of short clips of guns that I don't like. And I was out searching for firearms that met this description. Basically things with like non-reciprocating charging handles and, all that sort of stuff. Anyway, from across the room, I saw what I thought were bullpups, 308, 6.5 Creedmoor. It's got the charging handle mounted right where your hand is. I was like, there is no way that is a reciprocating charging handle because everybody with little finger is going to get hurt by the 308. So I walked over thinking that this is going to be low-hanging fruit, and I am pleased to report that I was completely wrong. These are actually bullpup straight pull bolt actions. And I have to say that this is possibly the finest trigger that I have ever felt on a bullpup ever. The manufacturer told me that they could make them better, but they're concerned about them being safe for duty applications. They just have a little bit of refinement left to do before they really start sending them out for demo because they want to rework the charging handle a little bit to make it a little bit meatier in case you get like a split case or something like that, which, 308s are somewhat common to have this issue. I guess in closing, what I would say is that this outfit seems to generally have their shit together, which from a person who wouldn't even know really which way to turn to even start that process, it was pretty refreshing, and I'm very much looking forward to getting something like this in for testing. That is my coverage of SHOT Show. I'm going to bed. I literally fell asleep halfway through writing this script, and I'm going back there, and I'll see you guys later in the week.